Well, hello everybody. I'm just going to show you something, give you something to look at while I'm talking about this subject. We have a lot of religions in this world, a lot of so-called faiths, who all have their interpretation of the purpose or meaning of life. What I found out, I've studied some of them, I've looked into the major religions. I looked into those countries that are dominated by these major religions. And I found no love and no wisdom. They were not dominated by that. They seem to be dominated by another thing. By fear, injustice. Which is also within the category of evil. And I found out that none of these so-called religions or faiths represent the real God. Their version of God or gods are unjust. At least those religions that preaches or teaches people that there is some kind of hell, some kind of eternal damnation, eternal punishment. It's either our way or either you get into heaven if you follow our ways of doing things, and what we say, or you will end up in a hell, both eternal. And that makes God unjust, because a God who sends souls into eternal punishment cannot be all good. That God that they are talking about is partly evil. This is simple logic. And I understand that God is all good. The real God is all good. Is goodness itself. Is justice itself. Mercy itself, and so on. Goodness. All good. So that's how I know that any religion that preaches and teaches an eternal damnation, eternal punishment as an alternative to eternal life does not represent God. And these are traditions, these religions, that are carried on from generation to generation. And most people in this world, that is more than 80%, officially believe in one of these major religions. And then there are all of those who unofficially believe it too, but are not active in the communities or the religious context. So, and this world is not dominated by love and wisdom, neighborly love, goodness in general. It is easy to see. And I know there is a true purpose to life. I understand there is. Because I listened to a very wise man. Or rather, I read the words he is quoted to say. I read about the life, the deeds he made. And the name of that man, when he was a man, walked on this earth, but now is Christ, that is Jesus. And God who sent him, and Jesus himself, they are real. But none of the religions who claim to know or who talk about these know who God and Jesus in reality is, or they are. But I try to walk the path of righteousness. I still feel like a beginner, even though I've tried many times and I failed mostly. That's for sure. But because, and in those periods that I have walked the path of righteousness, that is, love thy neighbor as thyself, I try to treat others as I would like to be treated myself and try to avoid the opposite. That is the essential part of God's law of love. Because I have done that and succeeded here and there a little, but failed a lot, I admit that. I have experienced things that confirm that this is actually true. And because I can see clearly what the major religions are doing to people, they pacify people. They make them do some ceremonies maybe and meet once in a while and have services in the name of their God, their false gods and so on. And most people don't understand that they are worshipping a false god. I do understand that. I don't blame them, because they have learned this from childhood. And they were taught, oh, you will go to heaven if you do this and follow our religion. But if you don't, and that is the point, if you don't, you will be punished forever in some kind of hell. That is a scare tactics. That is a fear-based belief. Some may talk about reincarnation, but and bad karma, and they the people will come back as an object or an animal and so on, and not as a human being if they don't behave. That is another scare tactics. None of it is true. Hell does not exist, but the purpose of life does exist. And the purpose of life that is to love thy neighbor as thyself. It can be said that simple. It is learn not to do evil anymore, but do good instead. It is like this, expressed best like this, what I will say now. You shall not do unto others as you would not that others should do unto you. But you shall do unto others as you would that others should do unto you. Treat others as you want to be treated yourself, and don't do the opposite. Even if you feel a need to correct someone, do it in such a way that you would want to be corrected if in the case that you were the one who made a mistake or violated someone in some way. That is the essential part of God's love. God's law of love. And that is the purpose of life. That is the true, real, genuine purpose of life. The religions are made to steer people away from the truth, prevent them from finding the truth. Many don't like to hear that I have to say about this. But I have heard no one say it but Jesus. But no one in modern time, I have searched all over YouTube and other places in the internet and so on. There are no one who understands this. Or there seems to be no one. Maybe you understand this, that are listening to this right now. And that's what you chose to watch my video. So it's that simple. That is, I've talked about the purpose of life, and then there is the meaning of life. The meaning is what comes after you fulfill the purpose of life and you master the essential part of God's law of love, which I've just mentioned. Love thy neighbor as thyself. To treat others as you want to be treated yourself and avoid the opposite. The meaning comes when you master this to a certain high degree. And when you master this to a certain high degree, you have earned the right, you are worthy of entering the kingdom of heaven. That's what Jesus tells us. And Jesus was sent by God to walk the earth in a lifetime and showing us the example, the perfect example for us to follow. So everything Jesus told the disciple and everyone else to do is what the true seeker of God's honest truth should also do. That is my message to all of you. Do as Jesus told us to do. Forget about the Christian dogmatics and all the other dogmatics from other religions who talk about Jesus too. Forget about that and just read what he is quoted to say and read what he is described to do. So if you filter out all the religious misunderstandings and concentrate on the wisdom, the love and wisdom that Jesus is quoted to say, and the description of what he did, the example he was for others, then you will start to understand why I say what I say. The religious groups of that time were exactly the same as they are today. The religions of today have a different name, but the hypocrisy and misunderstandings, the way they lie to themselves and then carry on this lie to generation after generation and threaten each other with an imaginary eternal punishment in some kind of hell, and do not do unto others as they would that others should do unto them, and avoid the opposite. Now, that is exactly Jesus. corrected them again and again. And he did it publicly to show the people who were not the priests, who was not so much into those religions, the dogmas of those religions, to show them the difference between the false and the true belief, the wrong and the right way of following the will of God. And you don't follow the will of God because you're afraid not to, like most religions do. Oh, if you follow a religion out of fear of the consequences of not following it, then it is fear-based. You see? Then it's not based on love and wisdom, on neighborly love, on goodness. That is not your motive of following a belief, but fear of the consequences of not following it, fear of an imaginary hell. That is your motive, and that fear you put into your children, in the next generation, if you do like that. That is not an act of love. That is an evil act. Not a direct evil act, an indirect evil act. People don't understand that that is actually what they do. But the purpose of life exists, and it has nothing to do with the religions. The religions does not understand this. I don't represent any religious dogma, any man-made ideology or religion of any kind. I only try to represent God's honest truth. And that is what I'm telling you right now. It's time to clean up the mess and correct all the mistakes that are made. If you try to walk the path of righteousness, which I'm talking about, you will experience some of the things that look like some of the things. It's a little different from human to human, but there are some similarities of what I have experienced, it will be confirmed to you that what I am saying is actually true. Jesus says something like that few are those who find it, who find the way and find the truth. And millions and billions of believers in different religions all over the world. That is not few. A few is a few thousand, 10,000 maybe, out of billions of people. So you see, they don't understand what they are talking about, but I do understand the beginning, the start, and that's what I'm telling you right now. I am a beginner in this, but the difference between me and many out there is that I have started, and I actually tried to walk the path. As I said, I failed a lot, but I managed to succeed here and there, a little here, a little there, and failed a lot again, and got back to it, and so on. That's how it's been for me. But it's different from person to person. But if you do this, the confirmations will come, and you will no longer just believe. You will get to a point where you actually know it's true. That is the point. I cannot prove that this is true. But if you walk the path of righteousness, you can prove it to yourself that it is true. And then you can be, because you know then you can be convincing towards others. Then you have the strength of knowing, the strength of faith in God's truth. Because if those things are being confirmed to you, which I will not go into details about, but let's just say that the words of Jesus comes true, they will be realized for you that it is actually true. They will come true in very, very surprising ways. You will never expect that, and you never heard that in any religious context. I can assure you of that. It surprised me a whole lot, and I'm still very surprised about it. So, I'm telling you this to give you hope, to spread the light, spread the truth, the actual truth, which has been hidden for so long now and prevented by the religions. And most religious believers don't understand that the religion does this. They are kept busy with other things. And they just rest in that and say, oh, we believe, and that's all we have to do, and maybe a few ceremonies, but we don't have to better ourselves, morally speaking. Yes, you have to do that. They think it happens automatically. No, 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 no. Of course you have to better yourself, morally speaking, in the spiritual sense. That is the whole point of it. You cannot be worthy of entering the kingdom of heaven if you don't walk the path of righteousness and you don't keep on walking it. I'm a bad example, but I'm trying to be better. I'm trying. But Jesus is the best example you can ever get, because that's the perfect example. And Jesus said, I'm trying to find the word here. He who does not take up his cross and follow me are not worthy of me. You have to look at yourself in the light of truth and better yourself. It can be hard to do so, but it's necessary to develop, morally speaking, evolve. So you can receive more wisdom, more truth. About wisdom and love. There's no true love without wisdom, and there's no true wisdom without love. It's all connected. So love thy neighbor as thyself. That is the key. Treat others as you want to be treated yourself, and do not do the opposite. That is the key. That is the essential part of God's law of love, and that's where the true seeker must start to walk the path of righteousness. Now you know there is a purpose. Okay. When you start to walk the path of righteousness, you will know. But now I've told you there is a purpose, and that leads to the meaning, the eternal life. It is actually true. Nice pictures, by the way. And that is all I have to say for now. I hope you're brave enough to do this. Whoever may listen to this video. It takes guts, it takes courage to do this. But the rewards are overwhelming. Just do it and find out. Then it will be confirmed to you. Then you will know, and no longer just think you believe. You would actually know. I'm saving this for now. Talk to you later.